We're 12 hours away from alert day conditions evolving across southern Wisconsin. This evening, I use Future Track to show you when you can see storms, when you can see heavy snow, and how strong those winds are going to be.
We're at the state capitol with the latest on a local immigration bill passing the state assembly.
When you disrespect people who have special needs in the community, you disrespect the entire community.
And later, residents in Belleville standing up for those with special needs after controversial comments from a village trustee earlier this month. We welcome you to News 3 Now at 6. And good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Eric Franke.
And I'm Sarah Carlson. We begin with the weather, where temperatures are mild now, but these quiet conditions will be changing tomorrow.
A mix of rain, thunderstorms, wind, even possibly more snow expected to move across southern Wisconsin. For the latest on what we could see, let's get our first warn forecast. Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington. Alex?
Eric, you wouldn't think out here in the patio with mild temperatures, as nice as it is, that in 12 hours we're going to have deteriorating weather conditions. Starting off with thunderstorms, let's look at our alert day timeline. Those thunderstorms in the morning could actually produce some small hail, so don't be surprised that we could get a little small hail from some of those storms. The red area, that's afternoon going into the evening and overnight. Showers and thunderstorms, an isolated severe storm possible in the afternoon, especially for Madison and points south and east, will be replaced by a changeover to heavy wet snow from northwest to southeast as we go into the evening and overnight hours, with a few inches of slushy snow accumulation, strong winds and reduced visibilities. Could be looking at some slick travel overnight going on into Thursday morning. Right now, no hint of that whatsoever. It's 60 here in Madison, still 64 tied, actually a triad, if not, in Prairie du Chien, in Boscobel, and in Platteville. As we zoom into Dane County, we're ranged from 56 to the northeast, up 151 in Sun Prairie, to as warm as 62 to the southwest in Verona, and over also towards Mount Horeb. Gorgeous view here on our first warm weather sky cam here. Edgewater showing sunny skies. Picture perfect evening for the middle part of March, because at this point tomorrow night it is not going to be picture perfect. Beautiful evening. We'll transition into alert day conditions coming up in Maine weather. I use Future Track to show you when and where you might receive storms, when and where you might receive that snow, and then watch that change over to snow across all of southern Wisconsin. That's coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Alex, thank you. Police say they've identified and spoken with a suspect in last Saturday's stabbing on State Street. Police say people came forward to help them identify the suspect with videos, some photos, and eyewitness accounts of the stabbing. Happened about 11 in the morning Saturday, not far from Chocolate Shop Ice Cream. Police say two people got into a fight. One pulled out a sharp object and stabbed the other. Police later found a box cutter at the scene. The victim's injuries are not said to be life-threatening. The department says it will release more information at a later time.
We have an update now on the deadly crash yesterday morning in Jefferson County. We've learned the victim was a minor. State Patrol says that he was the passenger in a car going east on I-94 when the driver crashed into a ditch. That minor got out of the car and walked onto the road where a semi-truck hit him. This happened near mile marker 275 near Sullivan at 1:30 Monday morning.
The acting police chief of the Madison PD is sharing some of his top priorities for the job and whether he'd like to fill the role permanently. News 3 Now sat down with interim chief John Patterson for the first time since he replaced former chief Sean Barnes. Patterson, a 26-year veteran of the department, his temporary role as top cop comes at a critical moment as Patterson will now oversee the investigation into the Abundant Life school shooting, which has garnered national attention. The motive for that shooting has still not been revealed.
The investigation is ongoing. Our detectives are still diligently working and following up on leads. There isn't any real new update that I can share at this time, but it has made us really reflect on emergency preparedness, emergency management internally.
We asked him if he's open to being chief permanently. He says that is something he's considering as the process with the Police and Fire Commission moves forward. In-person absentee voting is officially underway today for the April 1st election. All eyes are on the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. Voters will determine the balance of the court. It has big-name conservatives like Elon Musk donating to conservative Judge Brad Schimmel's campaign. Donald Trump Jr., Charlie Kirk were in Oconomowoc campaigning for Schimmel on Monday. On the other side of the ticket, George Soros and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker giving money to Dane County Judge Susan Crawford through the Democratic Party.
Madisonians can officially use the city's ballot drop boxes for the April election. There are 14 drop boxes throughout Madison. Now, before you put your ballot in that box, be sure you've included your signature, your witness signature, their name, and address. After you drop off the ballot, 2 sworn election officials will place them in a bag with a tamper-evident seal and then take it straight to the clerk's office. You can find a full list of locations for the drop boxes on the City of Madison's website. Well, happening now, March Madness is underway as the first 4 play-in games begin. This as 68 teams look to compete for a national title.
And that, of course, includes Wisconsin, who's off to Denver for the first round of the NCAA tournament. The Badgers play Montana Thursday at 12:30 on TNT. News 3 Now will be bringing you coverage of the Badgers from the Mile High City. And for more, let's check in on our crew heading to Colorado right now.
Hey everyone, it's Armand Rahman. I am in the car once again. It's that time of year. Last year was No Sleep Till Brooklyn, and this time is Destination Denver. Myself and Zach, who is very carefully driving. He's not going to talk right now because his eyes are on the road, hands at 10 and 4. We are on our way for the next 8.5 hours to Denver, Colorado to cover the Badger men's basketball team as they play in the first round of the NCAA March Madness tournament. Meanwhile, Andrew Banster will be in Minneapolis covering the women's hockey team as they play in the Frozen Four. That is on Thursday. The Badger coverage in Denver, Colorado starts tomorrow. Make sure to tune in on Channel 3000 Plus on our social media pages to follow along as we head to Denver.
Armand, thanks. Safe travels to the crew. News 3 Now and CBS. Of course, you're home for March Madness starting Thursday at 11. That'll mean some programming changes. If you're not a basketball fan, you'll still be able to find your favorite News 3 Now newscasts always streaming on our Channel 3000 and Channel 3000 Plus apps, along with our sub-channel, Television Wisconsin 3.2. And if you will be watching basketball, our newscast will air in special times following March Madness games on CBS. The graphic there on your screen explains where you can find what newscast and when. We'll also have that available on our website, channel3000.com. It's still ahead on News 3 Now at 6, standing up for those with special needs.
After the break, a village board trustee finds herself in hot water after comments she made about the school referendum. How the community is reacting.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6. Moving forward.
A Belleville Village Board trustee is under fire for making comments many deem insensitive about the disabled community. Those comments were made during a March 3rd meeting with the Belleville superintendent about the school referendum.
And now Belleville community members, teachers, and parents are standing up for people with special needs. Our Mayor Hubbard walks us through what happened.
It all started here at the beginning of March with a Belleville Village Board meeting where members were listening to a presentation from the Belleville superintendent. Now, while the Village Board has no control over what happens at the school, one trustee raised comments on what she believes should happen with special education.
I have to say, what would happen to our special ed program if we said, you need to go elsewhere?
That was Village Board trustee Maxine Ward, where she spoke about what she saw on a school tour years ago.
This was a young man that rode a tricycle, an overlarge tricycle, up and down the hall, screaming to the top of his voice, and trying to teach a class was ridiculous. And that's a part of the special ed, which I'm sorry I have a hard time dealing with.
Ward's words spread fast thanks to social media. But when Lori Lloyd saw the video,
I realized that she was talking about Jacob. Our Jacob is known because he has his bike.
Her son Jacob Lloyd used to deliver papers to classrooms on his tricycle as part of his IEP. He's now 23 and been out of school for the past 3 years.
It felt like being punched in the gut. It felt like a direct attack on Jacob, and that's hard. It's really hard, especially when he can't defend himself.
Jacob has Coffin-Sirer syndrome, where he's unable to function on his own. His family normally speaks for him, but this time,
I realized I wasn't alone. All these parents are standing with us.
Monday's Village Board meeting brought in a full house. It began with Trustee Ward addressing her previous comments.
First and foremost, I want to apologize if I offended anyone at our last meeting. That was not my intention. I was thinking about the budget and school referendum. And again, I did not intend to offend anyone.
Then Jacob's dad, David Lloyd, took the stand.
People with disabilities deserve consideration from our trustees. And I want to inform you that you've lost our trust. And on April 16th, we're going to start a process to recall and replace you.
The village board and trustee ward declined to give additional comment on camera, but Jacob's mom hopes their message with the recall is clear.
Disabled people deserve to take up space. They deserve to be in our community and not hidden away. And they deserve to be enjoyed and loved on.
Now, Lori tells me that they would need more than 300 signatures to start the recall, and she believes they can get there. Reporting in Belleville, Meryl Hubbard, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Meryl. Trustee Ward was elected in April of 2024 and will be eligible for recall next month. She also has the option of resigning from her position.
Still ahead, why more Americans are cutting back on snacks.
Plus, Mercy Health is announcing 2 successful procedures that have never been performed in the Madison-Janesville area.
And we could see some messy weather tomorrow. Alex returns with a forecast on what we can expect.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
A bill working its way through the Capitol would impose penalties on Wisconsin sheriffs who don't help with federal immigration enforcement.
Political reporter Will Keneally is at the Capitol and has more.
Places like Dane County receive funding from the state to help run municipal services, and it's that funding that's under jeopardy under a new Republican bill that passed the Assembly today over some Democratic objection.
Juntos somos más fuertes. Together we are stronger.
Democrats pushing back in the Assembly Tuesday over a bill that would require local sheriffs to cooperate with immigration enforcement.
This bill chips away at local control and forces officers to report the mere suspicion of immigration status. If this bill were enacted, the police would lose the trust of their communities as soon as they notify ICE.
If a Wisconsin sheriff arrests someone on felony charges, they would be required to check that person's immigration status. For a sheriff like Dane County's Calvin Barrett, he could still refuse to check immigration status, but that would put Dane County at risk of losing crucial state funding, upwards of 15%.
We have the opportunity to emulate, in many ways, the best practices that are already happening across our country.
Republicans, taking cues from the Trump administration, say it's a necessary law enforcement step here in Wisconsin.
As a former law enforcement officer, I've seen firsthand how important it is to keep dangerous individuals off the street. This bill ensures that we take every opportunity to hold individuals who threaten public safety pending federal action.
Now, this bill faces an almost certain veto from Governor Evers, but brings up an important discussion about local funding here in the state capitol while lawmakers are putting together that next 2-year budget. Reporting from the state capitol, Will Keneally, News 3 Now.
Thanks, Will. Well, Mercy Health says they have successfully performed their first dual leadless pacemaker procedures at both their Janesville and Rockford centers. Exciting stuff. A dual leadless pacemaker is a small wireless device implanted directly into the heart to regulate the heartbeat with no wires. The battery lasts around 8 to 10 years, and there are fewer restrictions compared to a regular pacemaker.
There's significant restrictions in the left arm, 6 to 8 weeks, and some people a lot of restrictions because they like to swim, they like to go for hunting, they like to do heavy object lifting. All those restrictions are not there with the dual leadless pacemaker.
More than 200,000 patients in this country need a pacemaker every year, and that number is growing since people are living longer.
Well, many Americans are cutting back on snacks, but it's not for health reasons. According to market research firm NIQ, 42% of U.S. consumers say higher prices are causing them to buy fewer bags of chips, crackers, and cakes. The findings from the 1,000-person survey reflect the fall in sales recently reported by the snack brands that are owned by PepsiCo, J.M. Smucker, and Campbell. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports snack prices have risen higher than most other grocery store products.
Well, Alert Day conditions return tomorrow, and this woman wants to know.
Hi, I'm Bridget from Wauwatosa. Hey, Alex, how's the weather?
Hey there, Bridget. Nice to meet you. How's the weather in Wauwatosa right now? A little bit cooler than here in Madison at 54, and that's because you're closer to the lake. Temperatures falling down through the 40s as clouds increase out ahead of Alert Day conditions, which will impact you in Wauwatosa as well, Bridget. We're watching that here. We've been watching this since late last week. Wednesday going into Wednesday night, isolated strong storms changing over to heavy wet snow and then windy conditions across all of southern Wisconsin. Let's take a look, though, at our travel impact forecast here. Peak travel adversity, meaning the time when I expect the roads are going to be probably in their poorest state, will be 6 p.m. Wednesday through about 6 a.m. Thursday. Reduced visibilities, falling snow, gusty winds, a couple slick spots will be expected. Areas north and west of Madison towards the Dells could see these adverse road conditions develop a little bit earlier than 6 p.m. Overall snowfall amounts 1 to perhaps as much as 3 or 4 inches of that slushy snow accumulation, which we often get in late March going on sometimes into April. We can see this all evolve here now with Future Track timing out thunderstorms first to start the day. Get that, thunderstorms, then over to snow. Some of these thunderstorms moving through really all of southern Wisconsin could produce small hail, so don't be surprised to see hail tomorrow in addition to that rain changing over to snow. That U.S. Highway 151 is going to be that dividing line at 6 o'clock at night. Madison, rain changing over to snow. South and east towards Janesville and Elkhorn, still those thunderstorms. A couple of those could be on the strong to severe side. And then here's that heavy wet snow all the way from Madison north and west up towards Camp Douglas, west towards Viroqua, over towards the Mississippi River. As cold air spills in, it all turns over to that heavy wet snow for all of southern Wisconsin with the slushy snow accumulations that I mentioned and strong gusty winds upwards of 40 miles per hour. That's going to help reduce those visibilities, so you'll need to bear that in mind. I also want to look at the temperatures as well here. If we're lucky, we'll get up to 50 in Madison, 50 in Janesville. Notice down here to the south how we have the difference between 50 in Madison and further to the south, they'll be in the 60s in Illinois, 30s to the north. We're keeping a close eye on this area of warm air. If it can just sneak up here in the Janesville over towards Elkhorn, that increases the severe weather risk over portions of Rock and Walworth counties. Not only would we be looking at hail and gusty winds tomorrow, that threat for tornado, it is still there, especially for areas south towards Janesville, towards Beloit and towards Elkhorn. First Warn Weather Team, we will be watching that scenario very closely tomorrow. Recap, a lot of information there. Multiple forms of weather, from thunderstorms to hail to snow and wind on Wednesday. That daytime is the chance for strongest storms across southern Wisconsin. Then we transition over to all that slushy snow by Wednesday night going on into early Thursday with 1 to 4 inches of total accumulation. With our First Warn Weather Cam, we'll be watching that Janesville cam especially tomorrow for those stronger storms where you have that better chance. Low temperatures right around 40, high temperatures right around 50. Madison points south and east with those crashing temperatures in the afternoon. Following that alert day on Wednesday, another weather system Friday, and maybe some more minor snow accumulation next Sunday night. Coming up at 10, we'll have a fresh look at Future Track.
And still to come in sports, why Greg Gard says he's happy about his team's quick turnaround. More on the Badgers' first round matchup next on News 3 Now. After playing 4 games in 4 days, Wisconsin basketball is right back at it. Their first round matchup with Montana is one of the first games in the entire NCAA tournament, which Greg Gard says is a good thing. They flew to Denver this afternoon, already getting acclimated to that altitude and recovering from a run in the Big Ten tournament. Gard says now they just wait for a game that can't come fast enough.
Quick turn, go play, right? Don't dwell on, hey, we got to the championship game, we didn't get it done. Now let's go on to next. We get to play in another one. So we just focused on a 14 2-game tournament. So that's what we have. We have to win Thursday if you want to get Saturday. You know, as I've always said, all the bad teams are probably waking up about right now on spring break, you know, somewhere with their feet in the sand, and the really good ones are still playing.
And John Tonje joined an incredibly elite group today, becoming just the 9th Wisconsin Badger to make an AP All-American team. The second-teamer averaged nearly 20 points per game this season, leading Wisconsin to their most wins since 2015. It is hard to imagine a more exciting game than Friday night's national semifinal. In search of their 8th national title, Wisconsin women's hockey will have a very big border battle on their hands. And there is a catch. This year's Frozen Four just so happens to be at Minnesota's home ice. This morning, Mark Johnson called it what it is, a true road game, but added that doesn't mean that there won't be plenty of Badger Red in the building.
It'll be a good crowd. The one thing about Wisconsin fans, they travel well. I'm sure there'll be a lot of red jerseys and people screaming for us. So if you're a player, Minnesota, Wisconsin, your coach, Minnesota, Wisconsin, great atmosphere. Two great teams going at it. The magnitude of the game, the winning team gets to go on and play for the national championship Sunday. So, I mean, this is what we sign up for, and now we get actually to go through it. So it's exciting.
And this should come as no surprise, but the legend himself, Mark Johnson, is one of a handful of candidates for the Division I Women's Hockey Coach of the Year award. He's received the honor 4 times in his career, but most recently all the way back in 2011. It'll be a big weekend for all Wisconsin
his
sports.
His trophy shelf is full of those.
He doesn't need any more.
He is literally the guy.
Yes.
And you'll be up there as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, it should be a special weekend.
Certainly.
Coming up tonight on News 3 Now at 10, Hulk Hogan, Andrew's old favorite as a child, makes a stop in Beaver Dam meeting with fans and pushing his real American beer. But is it worth it? Kyle Pozorski will have all the details. Again, join us for that story. More tonight, News 3 Now at 10. And you got a busy day tomorrow.
Busy day tomorrow. Jacob will be here tomorrow morning, and at noon I'll be watching the severe weather in the afternoon. Blaze with the snow tomorrow night.
Have a good night, folks.